today's guest is somebody who knows the thrill and turbulence of global life, not from the textbook, somebody who's lived the experience of global mobility. My guest today is Marie Truchassou. Hi, Marie. Hi. I'm really glad that we're doing this because we've spoken about this 2023.
Yes, when we met in Nagar, there's a connection, and we had a nice breakfast.
Oh, yes.
And then we started to speak about this project.
Yeah.
Podcast.
So you have known about the podcast even before and named the podcast, right? And I'm really glad that we're doing this all the way from France. And I know your background is human resource. That's the topic for today. But maybe you can let the audience know more about your background a little.
So I'm a French girl, as you can see from my accent. But I'm not coming from Paris. I'm coming from countryside, very small, where you get more cows than people. And I was always interested in international topics, and I got the chance to get a diploma in global mobility. So I worked as an HR in global mobility for many years in France. Before getting the chance to get an expat assignment to India, I was supposed to go to India for 1 year only. At the end, I stayed for 5 years, and I even spent the COVID lockdown in Mumbai. So I think I've been living an amazing experience of expatriation and a unique one. I had to relocate to France by 2020, and then I was supposed to come back, but my mom got a very bad disease, and I decided to stay with my relatives for some time. And at the end, I found the love of my life in France. So I'm still living in France at the moment. But I am in touch on a daily basis still with India because I've launched myself as an HR freelancer in global mobility. And almost 40% of my activity as of today has a link and a connection with India. So I'm very lucky because almost every year I come back to India for my business, but as well to meet people, to reconnect with the friends, the family I get here, because for now, for me, some people became family.
Yeah.
And it's very nice for me because India has been shaping me a lot, and I can still grow with India, having this yearly, India, let's say, expat experience for a very short period of time, but still for me, this connection is very important.
And I'm sure when you have lived here for 5 years, it has really shaped your views on how India is or the expat life is. But how was it for you to experience that? And also to see the HR, human resource in India. Is it different? Is it the same?
So for me, I was always having a frustration in the sense that the people doing my job in global mobility HR experts, most of them have never been an expat themselves. And I think, missing the experience is something that creates a gap in the sense that we should be expert because we manage different topics, employment law, tax, social security, compensation and benefits, and it's very tricky topics. But at some point, understanding the experience that you are going through as an expat, both on a professional and personal standpoint, is very important because it is what helps you to shape the best policies, the best approaches, the best support for your expats to be happy in their experience and with their family as well. It's very important. But to be as well, to be very efficient in what they do, because expatriation, it's a new job usually, but with a challenge, additional challenge to relocate to another country and to settle and get yourself. So one of the biggest challenge for me. So when I arrived here, unfortunately, HR, we are not good at managing ourselves in the sense that my arrival was not communicated properly to the team here in HR. So they have never lived themselves the fact to relocate from one country to another. And they don't realize how India can be tricky because it's their normal life. And they don't see what is different and when the foreigners are coming from. So for them, a regular problem can be a very big one for expats, but they don't necessarily get the understanding. They are not proactive about this. And for me, it's always getting back to the same topic. If you want to take care of foreigners, you need yourself to travel a bit to discover the world outside of your own country so that you can be better in what you do.
And is that something that you learned when you were as an expat? That, okay, this is what expats truly need from HR?
I was always an extensive traveler and a very keen person in the sense for me, I don't like to do only stick things. I like to mix with local people when I travel as much as I can so that I can really try to integrate and immerse myself in the country. So I had a first understanding, but the real one came when I had myself to locate, buy my home, find my house, and at the same time, my managers were expecting to be performing some duties from the first months. I was a single lady relocating to India, so I had to manage the housing research, utilities setup, FRRO registration, everything by myself without the support of a partner for all the logistics. But as well, when I was integrating through this very hard phase of the beginning, arrived just in the country, I was missing the fact at the evening to be able to speak to someone with what I was going through. So it was very, very difficult at that time. And I realized as well how nice it is to get a partner because it can still discuss about what you see, what you discover, and get someone sharing with you some insight and feedback that to help you go and to understand better. But at the same time, as a woman, it was a real challenge for me to relate to it, obviously. And I think now it can feel a bit presumptuous, but I know that I can do and I can live whenever I want to. Because I already did in India just by myself. And yes, nothing is impossible anymore.
I think as a woman, it must be very hard. As you said, like, I think you're saying it in a way, how do I say that? It sounds to be just this much, but I can imagine as an Indian local woman as well to step out or go for work and come back home safely. Safety part, right, is a concern. We do think of, okay, when can I come back? There's always a return time that we always have to calculate in our whole daily schedule. For you to actually move from a different continent,
Yes.
that must be.
The assessment for safety at the beginning was very difficult because you don't really understand your environment. You need to discover what is okay, what is not okay. At the same time, I didn't want to be too scared of the world outside of my society. So very quickly, I went out. I wanted to go to the market. The first time was very tricky. So many people wanted to get pictures with me that the security guards had to step in to stop the crowd from taking pictures from me because it was in Pinkley, Nilak. And at that time, we were only 3 foreigners living there, 1 German, 1 Japanese, and myself. And I think the German and Japanese were never going out. But for me, I just wanted to, I wanted to purchase mangoes and to get my vegetables in the market. And I did not realize really that maybe it was too soon. And people were needing to be prepared for me to live here and to know. And they were just so happy. And then the crowd effect was too much. But luckily, the security guide, they stepped in and they helped me. But at the same time, being a woman, I know that as I was obviously I could live my life by my own as I wanted compared to a woman. And for me, it's a real chance. I really realized, that I won the lottery of life being born as a French woman. Sometimes you get the idea, but when you live in India, you really, really realize it, the gap that it creates in your and independence as a woman. But sometimes it was a bit tough. I was 28 years old and I was not having any partner, any boyfriend, any husband. And people were always asking, are you married? And I was like, no, I'm not married. And once one taxi driver told me, you must have something going wrong with you, maybe a mental disease or something bad with your body, still single. It's hard.
Now, that's like a judgment not asked for and not appreciated, I'm sure.
Yes, but I understood as well that there is a difference of culture, there is a difference of mindset. And for me, my purpose is not to say it's wrong to believe that. My purpose is just to show that it can be different, but then it's a choice of people.
Yeah.
I don't want to push people to get the same mindset. I just want to respect there and try to understand. And at the same time, I'm just hoping they will be the same.
Wow. That is commendable. I'm sure that's a big tip for a lot of expat women, especially who don't step out because of that mindset or that kind of a judgment that they may receive from the local community. So yeah, kudos.
I think you need to understand that it's not personal. Just coming from cultural and mindset and education that it's not coming from us. So it's not us getting wrong.
Yeah.
Just it is as it is.
Yeah.
But easier said than done, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. In the moment, what you must have felt. I'm trying to understand. And how did you react? I don't know. Was it for you like, okay, calm and compose, I'm not going to react. This is his mindset, my mindset is different. Was that so easy for you to?
At that moment, you know, a lot of my colleagues and women colleagues were in the process of getting married. There's a special process in India when your parents pick up for you your future partner. And I knew that there was a lot of pressure for them to marry before a certain age. And for me, they were 26, I was 28. So I understood that I was already beyond standards for weddings for regular people in India. So I could understand that for them, yes, maybe something was wrong. And maybe this guy was more French than Indian to be so much straightforward then. But yeah, and I told him, no, I have no issue. It's just I don't have found yet the perfect guy, and I'm not going to take the first one from the street. But yes, at the first stage, it was very difficult. I think it depends if you are in a mental state where you can handle it, yes or no. And sometimes I had the bandwidth to manage it very nicely. But when I knew, you know, I was a bit tired or not very patient, or I could not be in a very stable mental health to manage this type of queries, my solution was to get a ring to pretend I was married. And I was putting it when I was, you know, I knew that if I had such situation, I could not manage it properly. So this is how I managed basically.
But it's funny that how you found one person of French in an Indian. Was it a taxi driver or a?
It was a taxi driver for a trip from Pune to Mumbai. Yes.
1% of Frenchness in an Indian taxi driver. Well, from all of these experiences as an expat, you launched 2 complementary ventures with My Expat Compass for individuals and Forwards International HR for companies.
Yes.
How do these businesses work together to cover the full spectrum of global?
So I'm an HR by heart, if we can say. So for me, it was making sense to create Forwards International HR. And that's why I'm always so exposed to India, because I'm helping some international companies to settle in India. And I am the HR helping them really to address and to understand the Indian HR specifics. It's so many. For example, the compensation structure in India is very special compared to what you get in US or in Europe. The benefits in kind are not the same. Sometimes I advise in terms of merger or acquisition of Indian companies. So I really provide support about this, and I help as well about expats. But I had always in my mind the idea to help expats themselves, because I always found they are very alone in their career assessment, in their any HR negotiation. They're just by their side alone, having no one to be able to help them, advise them, whether is it okay, what can get more in such instance as well when things are not doing okay and you get termination process. Sometimes it can be very, very tricky, but the stakes are high as well. But because, the compensation structure for expats, the taxation implications, everything is very tricky.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot get necessarily a regular HR to help you and to advise you. And it's true, I had done a lot of offline and free advisory for some expats from my network for this. So I realized that there was a real need for this. So I decided to create with my Expat Compass. It was in January 2024.
Yeah.
And for example, in the last case, I managed to help a French guy going to Kenya, and he got almost 20% of salary hikes because we worked together into his expat offer. And 20% is huge, right? And it makes your life totally different. So this is what I wanted to do, is to be able for once to be the HR by the side of the expats themselves, to help them to get better conditions and to ensure that what they get is okay, because it's not just an opportunity, a job opportunity, it's a relocation for you and your family, a new life starting over into another country. You need to be really in success mode to ensure that everything is okay before you go. And now what is very nice is that because I'm still doing some activities with HR, I'm still really updated about what the HR do. So I can really advise expats the best way. And it is the reverse as well, because I'm advising expats, HR and my clients, they love the fact that I'm very much tied with what are the expectations from the expats and what they really need. So I'm really, updated and fitted with the needs from HR and expats, and I mix two of them together to make the best advisory, whether I advise HR or expat.
That's wonderful. And I think that people sometimes forget that as an assignee, it's not just the assignee which is moving. You're actually helping the whole pack. You have a kid and the schooling. Do you also include that factor?
I include everything.
Okay.
And I help as well to define the best budget to help the expat partners, because very often they sacrifice their career. And it's creating a huge financial loss for them, the family as well. And sometimes a break period from the expat, it's something very difficult over for the partner, that is our men. And that's why as well I am helping the expat partners themselves in their career. For example, when they go from France to Uzbekistan, I can help the expat partner to find, okay, now I'm in Uzbekistan. What can I do with my profile locally, or can I launch myself as an entrepreneur? So I'm really helping them to assess what is the best for them to do and to try to optimize this expat break, not just to be an expat break, but maybe to become a leverage or a new opportunity for them to continue their career, whether as an employee or as an...
So that is more like helping to create an opportunity as a dual career for the couple.
Yes. For me, especially if the partner can get a nice work opportunity, obviously it brings more finance. And obviously, when the day comes that the expat ending, when you come back to your home country or you go to another country, you can still continue working, and the period spent as an expat is not a loss. Just a partner. And as well, we need to realize as well sometimes life can happen. You can divorce, you can separate. And I think partners need to realize it, that expatriation is a huge challenge for a married couple.
Yeah.
And because we, as individuals, we live the expatriation differently. Sometimes it can be a real couple challenge. So yes, separation or divorce can happen. So that's why for me it's important that you bit of work independence, if we can say.
Sure.
And as an expat, I always say, you don't need to work permanently and still find a part-time opportunity, a part-time entrepreneurship activity. You are a concrete example of this, Sadia, basically. And you have a purpose, you have an impact, and this is what people need.
Yeah. Have you come across a couple where the expat spouse was not leaning towards entrepreneurship at the beginning, and that you had to really put in efforts to show her the direction?
Entrepreneurship is always scary.
Yeah.
Especially for women, because I think there is always the assumption that men can be better in entrepreneurship. That's how. I think it's like kind of, a mental boundary that we put for ourselves as well. I can see it on myself, as I am an entrepreneur in France. We are only 5% of women entrepreneurs. So I think there is still something big to work on for us as women. What we need to realize that entrepreneurships allows us to control our working time, to control what we do. If we want to work 20% in November and then 100% in December, we can. And we are our own employer. So this is a good point. But yes, sometimes they need to take time, and I think we should not forget that the fact that we move to another country, it creates an identity shift, and we need to process it sometimes before making a step from a career, let's say, orientation or assessment. So, for example, in my program, sometimes I let people decide what they want to do, what they want to focus more, because sometimes they need more energy to settle, and then when it's done, we can work on the career path. Or some people, they like to manage everything together because they like the flow and the energy that moving on one topic can bring to the other topic.
That is interesting. And I think the tree fuels your passion.
Yeah.
Your own entrepreneur passion by helping somebody else in their path.
And it's highly individualized that I do. And for example, for European expats, it's very important, summer break.
Yeah.
We come back to Europe, we enjoy family, we get some nice time. So for example, my programs, depending on the needs, it can stop during the summer break so that people can refresh, get a nice break in Europe. But sometimes as well, you can be very much proactive. For example, I'm helping a French lady. She has been living for 15 years in the US. She plans to come back to France in 2 years, and she's already in preparation return mode, and we are already working together, prepare our return to France to find a job the next 2 years. She wants to optimize our return. She wants to optimize our career in the US. So we are working on this together, and she should be able to get a very nice opportunity then when she comes back.
Interesting one. And I've seen that you've also certified in France the certification called GPHR, which is the Global Professional Human Resource, and the Senior Professional Human Resource, right?
Oh, yes.
International. So you've certified in both of these. What exactly these certifications do, and how are they different?
These are American certification and resources for international. And for me, it was very important to get them because I didn't want to get, too much of French HR approach. So getting these 2 certifications helped me to get the American business-sided HR approach. So it's feeding me a lot about this. So that's why today I'm working for some American clients. But basically, these certifications were very difficult to get because when English is not your mother tongue, it's very, very difficult from learning, and sometimes you can feel as well that you use the same word, but you don't exactly the same definition for the same word. So it's the tricky part of language coming up. And for this certification, I had to get 80% of right answers. So it's a very high one. But I knew that because of the language barrier, I had 5% less because I could not necessarily understand fully, the tricky points.
Comprehension.
The comprehension point. So basically, I had only 15% of margin of error. So I got them. But it was as well a nice opportunity for me because when I accompany some expat or the partners, sometimes I advise them about certifications, and I can advise them about this process of learning a certification for another language and what they can expect, how they can get prepared to optimize this because usually it's a cost. And obviously you want to be in a position of success. But when it's not in your mother tongue, it's always trickier stuff.
And I think it's nice to have done it yourself, and then you can give the advice because you know exactly what that journey was, right?
Exactly. And I think some things we cannot learn in the book. You need to live yourself to be really able to help people about this.
But I need like the senior professional human resource. That was a difficult one because I saw the what is required, right? Requirement for to pursue that course. And it said like you have to have minimum 7 years of experience in human resource. But what that SPHRi does is massive for you in the international.
I am the only one in France to get the 2 certifications, basically.
Really?
As an HR. No one else gets. And because it's a significant investment as well in terms of time. For each of them, it was almost 6 months of preparation. And I was working in 3 or 4 hours per day to prepare it and get ready. And For the renewal, because it's 3 years certifications, you need to renew it. For the renewals, basically the renewals, it's not so easy either. It's always an investment, but I like to do it because at some point as well, I think it's important to keep yourself, updated in your industry and in what you do. And this is how I bring value as well to HR and to expats.
So when you're talking about the update, it is the curriculum or the studies or that
we pass again all the exams.
Oh my God.
But when you have done it once, it's okay. You just need to keep yourself updated and you are more ready, so it's a bit easier.
I think it also in that pace, right, of learning. Once you've done the certification, so the next time it becomes easier to grasp because
yes, you just learn the updates basically, and then it's okay. So still manageable.
Well, from that, I see that you support the SMEs. Forward International HR offers services like HR, human environmental analysis, strategic partnership identification. Why localized tailored support so critical?
I think sometimes some organizations, they want much to remain global, while life is not like this. And I think especially for products, you need to be a bit local and to understand what local people, so that you can sell your product and basically grow into. And most of the organizations, they forget it. It's true, sometimes it can work, remain fully global. For example, Coca-Cola, they just remain global and it's working everywhere. But sometimes, I think, for example, if we take the example of Ferrero, Ferrero, the product they sell in Europe is totally different what they sell in India because of the temperature, how you can keep the product, how you can eat it. So they had to develop a different product with more or less the same taste, but it's just in Europe, you open the paper and then you eat it.
Yeah.
While in India, you open the paper and then you get a spoon to eat it and to avoid it to melt it too much because the temperature and the heat and everything. So they were able to adjust. And I think it's the best way to address this. But very often, the headquarters decide, okay, I'm going to open a subsidiary in India. Someone is coming for 2 weeks there. Oh, it's going to be complicated, but we are going to do it. And then they expect to manage everything from the headquarters only. Yeah. For me, it's a total mistake.
Also, the logistics changes, right? When if you don't want to deal with the temperatures and customize or localize the whole process.
Yes, and the tastes are different.
Yeah, for sure, also, yes.
For example, for the colors, for the sound, for a lot of stuff, we have a different taste.
Yeah.
And at the same time, for me, I like to believe, I would love that we be able to keep our local taste and not to become too much global. Because for me, I think at some point when everything will be global, it will be boring.
I didn't think of that, but Ferrero Rocher was really a great example because you're talking about logistics. You really covered a lot of things in that, right? Localized because of the temperature, the texture needs to be maintained, the packaging.
Yes, the brand, the marketing, it's not the same. But, and how can we adapt the product? But no, they wanted to duplicate. And that's the biggest issue for me, for organization to make business abroad. But they do exactly the same Sabia for HR management. What works in my home country, we will apply the same for this country, while no, you need to consider local specifications, local constraints to adjust and to make it in with the situation.
And you've been helping such SMEs already?
Yes. So mostly in India, Indonesia, Middle East, and the US. These are my markets.
Did you live anywhere else besides India?
No.
Okay, but you really have a fair idea of the APAC.
I'm traveling there on a regular basis. In July, I was in Indonesia. And for me, I don't want to be an HR just in an office and doing international stuff from my office and through Excel sheets. I want really to be an HR on the ground.
Yeah,
it's important.
That's important indeed. Do you also get a chance to interact or know some expats in that country?
Yes, very often. And sometimes I participate to the selection process of expats for some countries, especially when tricky countries, because I'm trying to determine the fit and if the expats are ready. Because sometimes we let them go and then they are not totally ready or the fit is not there for them to stay in the country. and then you have to reintegrate them back to the home country. But basically, it's a financial loss for the organization. It costs a lot.
I know.
And usually, the bad point for the expats themselves is that they feel that they failed and there was some performance issue, but sometimes it's just that it was not the perfect fit. And it's not necessarily from themselves. Sometimes it's a lack of preparation from the organization. You get so many leverage and impacts that created the situation. So I'm always trying to accompany them like that. Not necessarily a fail from their end.
For the audience who doesn't know much about global mobility and trying to understand what we're talking, it is not just about expats, right? And in global mobility, we have the terms inbound and outbound assignees. Maybe for the audience, if you can explain what inbound and outbound assignees are.
So basically, it depends from where you start.
Okay.
Inbound, it's people coming into a country. So for example, at the moment, today I am in India, so I'm an inbound in India. While outbound, it's people going out from a country, going to another country. So when I would be traveling back to France, I will be an outbound France, basically. And in the global mobility world, you get the expats, and normally expats, you get the generic word of expat, meaning a foreigner into a country working. But for us as HR expat, it's mostly someone going into another country for a certain period of time. It's always temporary. But we can send people on a permanent basis into another country, and then we offer them a local contract plus sometimes some additional benefits. And then it's more like what we call a permanent transfer. So more and more HR and organization, because of financial, let's say, interest, they try to push more for permanent transfers because it is less costly than expats. But on my side, when I advise expatriates themselves, I'm always helping them to identify what they need to negotiate for permanent transfers on coming on top of the local contract. Because what organizations very often forget is that you need to get retirement because one day you will be retired. What this opportunity is bringing you in terms of retirement? Are you losing any retirement right? What will happen for you when you will reach the age to withdraw your retirement? Medical healthcare, obviously, especially in some countries, it can be a big negotiation thing. Unemployment. Because yes, when everything works well, it's nice. You earn your money, you are into a new country. But what if tomorrow they end the contract? Who is covering the cost for you to relocate back to your country? And who is going to pay for unemployment allowance for you? Are you getting rights into the country where you are an expat? Will you be getting rights into your home country? Will you be getting nothing? It's something very important to anticipate. And you get some other topics like life and disability and these very other key points that usually HR, they try to avoid to discuss about this ideally and because it's very costly. And when you are under local contracts, they just say, get the local provisions. Yes, it's easy to say when everything is doing okay, but when you get a visa and if your employment is terminated, you will need to get out from the country, and in your home country, you will get no rights, no entitlements because you have not been there for many years. So this is something they need to anticipate, and usually HR try to avoid the topic as much as.
This is an interesting topic because I wasn't aware of all these things, the anticipation of things, which is not something that you think the first thing in your mind. You don't think of, okay, your visa is terminated and you have to go back and what are the rights in your home country. You don't think of that, right? So you don't think of considering to discuss with your HR. But yeah, it's an interesting topic.
At the moment, for the US, it's a very key topic because of Mr. Donald Trump and what he's doing from an immigration standpoint. It's difficult to get visa to go to the US, but it's going to be difficult as well for people having a visa there. The guarantee to get the visa renewed is not anymore. Green card application will get more and more complicated to get. We already start to see some visa rejection, visa renewal denials. And what does this mean? You get the visa there. If it's rejected, your employment is terminated. You cannot remain into the country territory, you need to come back to your home country. And who is going to cover the cost of you removing back for your flights, for your removal, for ending your lease agreement, and then to cover the cost for you settling back to your home country? But as well, what about the loss of salary? You have a lot of topics, and I think people for years, when I say people, it's more HR. HR for years were considering, okay, visa renewal will be guaranteed, it's going to be okay. But now, organizations start to work on this topic and they start to realize that, yes, it's not guaranteed anymore. So what do we do? But some of them decide to be supportive and some of them decide not to be supportive. That's why for me, the best when I help expat to negotiate their offer is to set up everything into the contract. Because you cannot just trust the employer that when the day comes and something is difficult arrives, cannot just trust that they will be helping you. It's better to get everything written and signed into your contract.
It's funny, like these things are not like a standard thing in the...
No, that's why you need to negotiate. And that's why, for me, I help to negotiate this, but as well I help to get the best way to speak to HR so that to get the best chance to be able to include this into the contract. Because usually they don't like so much to get this in contract. It's creating what they call a precedent, and they don't like precedent because when they do this for someone, they are scared that it will be the same for other people coming after, so they don't want to do. But I know the tricks and how to do to negotiate for this because usually I'm on the other side. So this is how I bring values to expat negotiation.